Ever wondered which fighter planes truly ruled World War II's deadly skies? From the Battle of Britain to the Pacific dogfights, these legendary machines changed warfare forever. Today, we're counting down the 10 greatest World War II fighters that shot down thousands of enemy aircraft and turned the tide of history. And number 1 will reveal the fighter that combined speed, firepower, and versatility like nothing else. Hit that like button, subscribe for more aviation history, and let's discover the warbirds that became legends. 10. Messerschmitt Bf 109. The Messerschmitt Bf 109 was Germany's backbone fighter throughout World War II, serving from 1937 until war's end. This aircraft shot down more enemy planes than any other fighter in history, with over 33,000 built during the war. The Bf 109's lightweight design and powerful Daimler-Benz engine gave it exceptional climbing ability and high-altitude performance. German aces like Erich Hartmann scored hundreds of victories flying this legendary machine across the Eastern Front. The fighter evolved through numerous variants, each improving speed, armament, and capabilities as the war progressed. Early models dominated during the Battle of Britain, though Spitfires eventually matched its performance. The Bf 109's narrow landing gear made takeoffs and landings dangerous, killing many inexperienced pilots in training accidents. Despite this flaw, the aircraft remained competitive throughout the entire war. The Bf 109's combat record and production numbers make it one of history's most successful fighters. Germany relied on this single design to defend the Reich against overwhelming Allied air power until the final days. 9. Mitsubishi A6M0. The Mitsubishi A6M0 shocked the world when it appeared over Pearl Harbor and across the Pacific Theater. This Japanese fighter outmaneuvered every Allied aircraft it encountered during the war's first 2 years. The Zero's incredible range allowed it to escort bombers hundreds of miles over the Pacific Ocean to targets. Its tight turning radius and lightweight made it nearly impossible to defeat in dogfights initially. Allied pilots died in droves trying to turn fight with Zeros until new tactics were developed. The aircraft dominated from Pearl Harbor through the conquest of Southeast Asia and the Dutch East Indies. Japanese aces achieved remarkable kill counts flying Zeros against inexperienced Allied pilots. However, the Zero's dominance came from sacrificing pilot protection and armor plating completely. American pilots eventually learned to use diving attacks and superior speed to avoid turning engagements. By 1943, newer Allied fighters outperformed the Zero in almost every category except maneuverability. The Zero's early supremacy and eventual obsolescence symbolized Japan's initial success and ultimate defeat in the Pacific War. 8. Focke-Wulf FW-190. The Focke-Wulf FW-190 appeared in 1941 and immediately shocked RAF pilots who thought Spitfires were untouchable. This radial engine fighter was faster, better armed, and more maneuverable than any Allied fighter at that time. The BMW 801 engine provided exceptional power and reliability compared to liquid-cooled inline engines. The FW-190 outperformed Spitfire Mark IVs completely, forcing Britain to rush new variants into production desperately. German pilots loved the aircraft's smooth handling, heavy firepower, and excellent visibility from the cockpit. The fighter excelled at both air combat and ground attack missions with devastating effectiveness. Later variants carried rockets, bombs, and heavier cannons for attacking Allied bombers and ground targets. The FW-190 remained competitive throughout the war, despite facing newer Allied fighters with superior performance. Kurt Tank's brilliant design created a fighter that combined the best qualities of previous aircraft. The FW-190's sudden appearance in 1941 created a crisis that forced Allied fighter development forward rapidly. 7. Republic P-47 Thunderbolt. The Republic P-47 Thunderbolt was the heaviest single-engine fighter of World War II, weighing over 7 tons. This massive American fighter was powered by a turbocharged Pratt & Whitney engine, producing 2,000 horsepower. The P-47's rugged construction and 8 heavy machine guns made it a devastating bomber escort and ground attack platform. Pilots called it the Jug because its bulky fuselage resembled a milk jug, but they loved its survivability. The Thunderbolt could absorb tremendous battle damage and still bring pilots home safely from missions. Its diving speed exceeded almost every Axis fighter, allowing escape from dangerous situations. The heavy weight that made it sluggish in climbs also made it deadly in high-speed diving attacks. American pilots used boom and zoom tactics, diving on enemies and escaping before Germans could respond. The P-47 destroyed thousands of German locomotives, trucks, and tanks during ground attack missions across Europe. Its combination of firepower, durability, and range made it one of America's most effective fighters. 6. Yakovlev Yak-3. The Yakovlev Yak-3 was the Soviet Union's lightweight champion that German pilots feared above all other Russian fighters. This small aircraft appeared in 1944 and immediately dominated low-altitude combat across the Eastern Front. The Yak-3's exceptional power-to-weight ratio gave it climbing and turning performance that German fighters couldn't match. Soviet pilots loved its responsiveness and agility, which allowed them to outmaneuver heavier German aircraft easily. The fighter was built simply using wood and fabric to save strategic materials for tanks and artillery. Despite its basic construction, the Yak-3 proved deadly effective in the hands of skilled Soviet pilots. German commanders warned their pilots to avoid combat with Yak-3s below 13,000 feet altitude. The aircraft's main weakness was poor high-altitude performance, where German fighters maintained advantages. Free French pilots of the Normandy Niemen Squadron flew Yak-3s exclusively, praising its combat effectiveness. The Yak-3 symbolizes Soviet engineering philosophy: simple, effective, and produced in massive quantities for overwhelming numerical superiority. 5. Vought F-4U Corsair. The Vought F-4U Corsair was the Navy's bent-wing devil that terrorized Japanese pilots throughout the Pacific. This carrier fighter featured distinctive inverted gull wings that gave it an unmistakable profile. The massive Pratt & Whitney R2800 engine made the Corsair the fastest American fighter of the war. Marine Corps pilots flew Corsairs from island bases, achieving kill ratios exceeding 11-to-1 against Japanese aircraft. The fighter's 6 heavy machine guns, or 4 cannons, delivered devastating firepower in diving attacks. Early Corsairs had dangerous carrier landing characteristics that killed many pilots during training. The Navy initially rejected it for carrier use, assigning Corsairs to land-based Marine squadrons instead. Eventually, improved variants solved the landing problems, and Corsairs operated from carriers throughout the Pacific. The aircraft continued service through the Korean War, proving its design excellence and longevity. Aces like Pappy Boyington became legends flying Corsairs against Japanese fighters. The Corsair's combination of speed, firepower, and range made it one of history's greatest naval fighters. 4. Supermarine Spitfire. The Supermarine Spitfire saved Britain during the nation's darkest hour in 1940's Battle of Britain. This elegant fighter combined beautiful design with deadly effectiveness that inspired British pilots and citizens alike. The Merlin engine and elliptical wings gave the Spitfire exceptional maneuverability and high-altitude performance. RAF pilots flying Spitfires held off Germany's Luftwaffe, preventing invasion and preserving Britain's freedom. The aircraft evolved through numerous variants, each improving performance to match new German fighters. Later, Spitfires with Griffin engines exceeded 450 miles per hour and dominated at all altitudes. The fighter served in every theater from Europe to North Africa to the Pacific throughout the war. British ace Douglas Bader and countless others became heroes flying Spitfires against overwhelming odds. The aircraft's graceful appearance contrasted with its lethal combat capabilities perfectly. Polish, Canadian, Australian, and pilots from occupied nations flew Spitfires with fierce determination. The Spitfire symbolizes British defiance and courage during World War II more than any other weapon. 3. North American P-51 Mustang. Here's the ultimate truth: the P-51 Mustang was the greatest all-around fighter of World War II. No other aircraft combined long range, high speed, excellent maneuverability, heavy firepower, and reliability so effectively. The Mustang escorted bombers to any target in Europe while also dominating dogfights against Germany's best fighters. Its 1,650-mile range with drop tanks exceeded every other single-engine fighter by hundreds of miles. The Merlin-powered P-51D reached 437 miles per hour at altitude, outrunning nearly every German fighter. American industry produced over 15,000 Mustangs, making it available in overwhelming numbers when needed most. The fighter served successfully in Europe and the Pacific, proving its versatility across different combat theaters. Aces flying Mustangs destroyed the Luftwaffe's remaining experienced pilots during 1944 and 1945. The P-51's arrival over Germany turned the strategic bombing campaign from costly gamble into decisive victory. The Mustang represents the perfect combination of American engineering, British engine technology, and combat necessity that created the war's ultimate fighter. 2. Messerschmitt Me-262. The Messerschmitt Me-262 was the world's first operational jet fighter that flew 100 miles per hour faster than any Allied aircraft. This revolutionary German fighter appeared in 1944 and shocked Allied pilots who couldn't believe its incredible speed. The twin-turbojet engines gave the Me-262 performance that made conventional fighters obsolete instantly. German pilots flying Mi-262S destroyed Allied bombers with ease, shooting them down before escorts could respond. The jet's 430mm cannons fired explosive shells that destroyed heavy bombers with short bursts. However, the Me-262 suffered from unreliable engines that failed frequently and required constant maintenance. Germany's fuel shortages and production problems limited the number of Me-262s reaching operational squadrons. Allied fighters learned to attack Me-262s during takeoff and landing when they were vulnerable and slow. Despite these problems, the Me-262 proved jet fighters were the future of aerial combat. The aircraft's revolutionary technology came too late to save Germany from defeat. Had the Me-262 appeared 2 years earlier with reliable engines, the air war's outcome might have been different. And there you have it. 10 fighters that ruled World War II's deadly skies and changed warfare forever. Which legendary fighter impressed you most? The Spitfire's heroism or the Mustang's dominance? Drop your thoughts below, hit like, subscribe for more aviation history, and we'll see you in the skies.